So all my life, I wanted to own a plane. Um, Never everything. So I started, it's been a lifelong dream. Started flying in 2006.
Let's buy an airplane.
Started flying in 2006. Joined the army and started flying since then. Life and everything got in the way. And then here recently, this is all I hear.
Let's buy an airplane.
Like that's all I hear. We can't afford an airplane.
Let's buy an airplane.
Gotten to the point in our lives where she works, I work, but we still want to travel and we still want to do everything with COVID lockdowns and everything. So we've kind of decided, let's buy an airplane. And so this is how we bought the airplane. That's hard to see, sorry.
You're so blind.
Not wrong. So we decided we wanted to buy a plane. But what plane do we want?
Whichever one you think is a good option.
So I had no help. At all. So the rule of thumb everyone talks about is like 80, 85%. What I mean by that is pick a plane that you'll do 80 or 85% of quote unquote your mission. And so her and I talked about this a lot and what was our mission. Most of our family and friends are in Southern California or they're in Arizona right along the California border, so it's basically the same exact flight. So I was looking at long cross-country flights, essentially. So I wanted something that could fly long distance, haul the family. It's aviation terms. Pilot's talking.
Long cross-country flights.
So long cross-country flights. So I wanted to get something that was going to be economical to get there, also affordable.
And fast.
And so you start taking a look at that. I was looking at something on the complex side and with retractable gear and constant speed props, which also increased maintenance cost, which started tuning me on to the Moonies, because Moonies have a manual gear. Certain Mooney models have manual gear options, which is called the Johnson bar, which eliminates a lot of the maintenance cost. And so that really started tuning us because the Moonies was right in our price range for what we're looking about, faster than what I was wanting to do. So that's on the plus side. As good as fuel mileage, gas, road mileage. They call it fuel burn rates in aviation. So at a good fuel burn rate can get us there, and it was gonna be quick. However, I didn't have the rating, so you need a complex endorsement to fly these aircraft. So insert this woman saying,
I told you so?
no.
Oh.
No, she's like, hey.
That's normally what I say.
YouTube, can I get a new wife?
Oh.
Insert her saying, hey, go see Uncle Lou.
Oh, yeah, my Uncle Lou.
Yeah,
at
Uncle
Dubai
Lou.
Aviation.
So Dubai Aviation in Chino, California, highly recommend, not just because of family.
10 stars.
I did not get, I'll say this, I went there and got my complex endorsement. There was no discount rates or anything like that I went through. However, it was still cheaper to do my complex endorsement in Southern California than it was here in El Paso, Texas area.
So to leave Texas, fly to California, do the course, get your certificate, fly back to El Paso.
Still cheaper. So they got some of the best rates, some of the world-class instructors, and amazing airplanes. So everything you want to go through your commercial, Dubai Aviation. Anyway, so go there, get the complex endorsement. We start searching for our plane. At this point, I know nothing about buying an airplane. So I Google how to buy an airplane. AOPA, Airlines Owner and Pilot Association, pops up a lot. So I start going to them for a lot of resources. And talking to a few friends when they talked about how they financed their planes, everything, they just said they went through AOPA. So I called them up and said, I want to buy a plane. At this point, we had found a Mooney that we were interested in, and that met what we needed was in our price range. This is how we started this. So called AOPA and said, this is what we want to do. We want to finance, I don't even remember this thing. It's right around $50,000, $60,000. I don't actually remember the amount.
very first one?
Yeah, the very first one.
It was 55.
All right, it's 55. So call AOPA, and one of the first things, so they go through and they take all my information out, and then they send it out to all the banks, all the aviation banks, I should say. And then whoever comes back with the cheapest interest rate wins. In this case, it was Banterra. And one of the things that I found out during this thing is the down payment for a plane. So how you can back this up? So how you can buy a car with like $0 down, or $200 down, whatever. Not the case in a plane. 15% of the buying price is the minimum down payment. Period.
Minimum.
Yeah. So whatever the price of your plane is, 15% of that has to be in cash. Period. Like, great. Here's Banterra. So I start talking to them. They're like, we're going to need 15% down. And to do the pre-approval, we're going to need your last 2 years of tax returns. We're going to need all your bank statements, investment statements. Let's see how fast I can talk through this. Your net worth, anything, everything like that. Yeah, how much are your right kidney worth? Send all that in.
If we murder you today, what can we sell you and all your stuff for?
reading through some of the articles, get on AOPA. They have a ton of information on buying airplanes. I will say that. But some of the articles talk about the bank wants to make sure you have at least 2 years of plane payments in the banks. And so that's kind of what they're looking for. So looking at your bank account statements and all the stuff, your investment accounts and everything. So at this point, we are working with this guy for our first plane, which was another M20E. Through the whole process, he told us he had other people interested. I didn't know the buying process at this time. I was like, I like your plane. He's like, cool, here's the asking price. He sent us all the documents. I was like, well, let me work on financing, because I thought that was kind of the first step. So we called, went through AOPA, got through the stuff. We were traveling. We were in Reno on holiday, visiting friends, trying to work some of the stuff. And we couldn't get all of it right then, so we had to get it when we got back. So we get back after the new year. She gets the rest of the documents. We send it up. The bank sends me the letter saying, hey, you're approved this plane. I was like, excellent, let's start moving forward. As I'm picking up the phone to call this guy, he sends me an email saying, I have somebody coming to see this plane cash in hand. I'm sorry, but I'm selling it to this guy.
Well, he had already sent him money for it, too.
Yeah.
Had a deposit in hand.
It was a gut punch to the fact that we lost this plane, but not the fact that it wasn't anything shady. He was straight up like, hey, we got to...
He was very honest about it.
And then started kind of this process for this through the rest of the thing. So the next couple steps, we called on several planes. What I found out, at least for the Mooneys, I don't know about other planes. I've done watching YouTube videos. People talk about negotiations and everything. There's a website called VREF. Think of it, Blue Book for airplanes. Anytime I saw an airplane, I sent the information to the bank, and they routed it through VREF, and they said that plane is worth X amount. So essentially your Blue Book value.
I'm so tired. I need to go to bed.
We're making YouTube videos here.
I need to go to bed.
So going through all the VREF, all the Moonies were marked above VREF because it is a seller's market, at least for the Moonies. I know there's other planes out there. That's just my point on here. And then eventually I come across this M20D. So after the M20E got sold, and I had multiple phone calls on other Mooney M20s, pick a model version. But all of them had some sort of sale contract, or at least an earnest deposit, like an earnest deposit on a house on. And so then I end up getting the M20D and start researching it and talk to her about it. And then she's like, hey, why don't you call about it? So I did. So once we got the bank figured out, it was time to call insurance and figure out how to do insurance on a plane. I've been hearing that insurance was probably one of the biggest costs in plane ownership. So we turned around, called a few friends, and I had a few people recommend a Vemco insurance. So gave them a call. They gave me a quote, and quotes based on a few things. They take into account how much you're insuring. They call it the whole value, HULL, like a ship hull. How many hours you have, what kind of pilot you are, so on and so forth. Boop, boop. So I have a commercial instrument rating in helicopters, and have about 2,100, somewhere between 2,000 2,100 hours in helicopters. And then in the fixed wing world, I just have my private pilot's license with a tailwheel endorsement, and I've done spin training. Got about 140 hours in fixed wing at this point. No complex time, or excuse me, after I got the complex rating, then I had 10 hours between the rating and some additional training I did. So 10 hours in a complex retractable gear aircraft. The rates came back actually pretty reasonable for a Vemco. However, I decided to do some more research and call some other people. No, you can't have the camera. Yeah. So I called a few other insurance companies, found a place that does something similar to AOPA, where they send all your information out to a bunch of insurers, and they came back. Good majority of them actually denied insurance because of the lack of retractable gear time. Apparently people forget to put the gear down when they land, and which causes insurance rates to go up. They did come back with a couple quotes, and they were all more expensive than a Vemco. So I ended up calling up a Vemco and got it set up for that first plane we were looking at, where the guy ended up, selling it. And so I called a Vemco up and said, well, hey, we're still searching for a plane. They said, that's great. Insurance quote is for for a couple months. So they sent me all the information, the code, which basically was the policy, just not signed yet or funded. And I had it on standby as we did the rest of the searching through the rest of the planes that we went to until we eventually got to the end. Oh, bud. Okay, so I forgot to record the phone call with the guys about the M20D. So this is how the phone call went, with her sitting right here. Hello. Hello. Yes, I talked to you about the M20D. Okay. So the annual's complete? Sort of. So the propeller's not on it. Where's the propeller? Oh, it's getting resealed. Okay. It doesn't need to be resealed, but it's getting resealed. But it's rip off that it's getting resealed. But it's getting resealed. Okay. When's it gonna be back? All right, you don't know. Okay, my bank told me that you got the plane overpriced by $10,000. Okay, that whole site's rip off. Okay, the propeller. Got the propeller. But okay, so you actually don't know anything about the airplane. Okay, you're gonna text me the number of the guy who knows the airplane. All right, got it. Okay, fine. So I did. So he texted me like the airplane. She wasn't here for that conversation actually. She was there for this conversation. So text me the number, and I call the guy. His name is Walt. Hello? Is this Walt? Hi, Walt. Josh, calling about the M20D. Oh, you're not there, but you're working on it. Sort of, but not really. Okay. So what's the deal with the prop? It's getting resealed. But it didn't need to be resealed. So why is it getting resealed? Oh, it had a prop strike. And the propeller got repaired. But there was no correct documentation on it. So you're resealing it to re-update the prop. Okay. So when's the prop going to be back? Okay, you don't know. So was the engine overhauled? No. Okay. So, but the engine's good. You checked out. Okay. So, when's the angle going to be, or when's it going to be complete? You don't know. Are the gas tanks leaking? Oh, the gas tanks are leaking. So the gas tanks are leaking. The prop needs to be, or the prop's being overhauled, but we don't know when that's to be done. You don't know when you're back at the plane, and the engine wasn't overhauled after a prop strike. Sounds good. Yeah, go ahead and call me when it is going to be back and done. Thanks, bye. They never called. So at this point, we're looking at the M20E and kind of look over at this after I get off the phone and look over at Callie and I get this look. So we call the bank. So I already had the financing approved from the first time trying to buy the plane. And so we called the bank up, and I just called the bank up. Hello, bank. Yes, can we do the financing for this other plane we want to? Oh, well, you can. And the interest rate is actually cheaper, and it's going to make it more affordable. Okay, bye.
This is where you get to insert the "I told you so" and the repeat of "you should have called about this plane many, many moons ago when I said so the first 5 times."
Plane's been listed for a while at this point. So, because I had caught my eye, and it's very, very, very nice plane.
It's pretty.
So I called the guy thinking there's no way it's been available because every time I try to call on any of these planes, there's always multiple people involved, multiple people calling.
Money already had been exchanged.
Yeah, something. There's always something. We've been looking, it was 4th or 5th plane.
That we had seriously looked at.
Yeah. All right, so we call the guy. Hello, Mr. Plane Owner in Norfolk, Virginia. I'd like to talk about your plane. Okay. Yep. Okay. So, perfect. So no one's called on the plane, or no one's actually done anything with the plane. All right. Well, the annual was just completed. It's done. You just repainted it. That's done. You just resealed the fuel tanks. That's all done. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll send you a deposit right now, and then we'll start the pre-sale agreement. Okay, thanks. Bye. We decided that was the plane we want, the M20E, November 5976 Quebec, which is, you'll see pictures and stuff later on. That was the plane that we wanted, and we sent the deposit in and started the process. However, we didn't have a place to store that. We had been looking and calling around. In my area, here in the El Paso area, I had 3 options. We had Las Cruces up to the northwest, Doñana over there on the west side of El Paso, and then El Paso International. My first choice was Doñana. Very familiar with that airport from skydiving there and doing some army training there. And it's kind of, out there away from the congested airspace of El Paso. So we called them up. Their hangars were, I forgot the price, and it was more than $200, but they also had a 61-person waiting list. There was basically, and I talked to some people that had been on that waiting list for years. That was not going to be an option. They did, however, have covered parking and carports for airplanes for $50. So I was like, okay, if all else fails, we can use that as an option. Called Las Cruces, and Las Cruces said they, quote, they think they had one available. They wasn't 100% sure. Can't remember the price of that hangar either, but I know it was somewhere between $150 to $200. It was cheaper than Doñana. So the information for Las Cruces International was not readily available. I had to do a lot of research and a lot of just calling, and they transferred to the next person, transferred to the next person, transferred to the next person. So I eventually got a hold of them, and come to find out they had over 20 hangars available. They were much cheaper, $110 a month plus electric, which in the aviation world, hangar world, and even like storage shed world, that is beyond cheap. And so we jumped on it and started the process. Had to do 3 hours of online academics for security around the airport, since it is an international airport. And went through, and then they said, all right, come in and choose your hangar. So Bravo 7.
Start 1, Golf 3, right here. Hotel 1, right here. And Hotel 7. Lima 6. Kilo 5. I mean, if you want to kind of tell me more or less where, and then I'll show you what I...
Request from the wife. She says when you go pick it up, get the one closest to the bathroom. So, I don't know, if they have...
I believe the bathrooms are right here. Which means if you go to Bravo 7, you'll be facing literally the restrooms.
Bravo 7 it is.
Okay.
So after we got the deposit set in and the bank approved the financing and everything like that, they requested a few things that need to be done with the plane. So I need to get all the plane documents, which I worked with Norfolk Aviation. That's who I was buying it from, and they were getting me all through that. And then one of the big things that the bank required was a pre-buy inspection. So this was something that was new to me. I did all my research beforehand. Still wasn't sure what I was getting into. Everyone always recommends when you go plane, get a pre-buy inspection, get a pre-buy inspection, so on and so forth. The pre-buy inspection is on the buyer to set up, and there is no set guide in FAA, FARs, any set regulation that says what a pre-buy inspection is. So it's up to the buyer to contact a certified mechanic, A&P, IA, something like that, and set up the pre-buy for their plane and describe on what they needed. The plane is in Norfolk, Virginia, and I'm in El Paso, Texas. So trying to set this up and trying to figure it out. I ended up working with Greg at Norfolk Aviation. He helped me out big time, and he gave me the name and number of somebody that a neutral third party to call. And so I called. His name is Jim Billcamp. Was amazing. If you've ever talked to anyone that's been in aviation for a while, that's been around for a while in aviation, and you go bring up a topic that they like to talk about, you're gonna be on the phone for a while. So our phone call lasted over an hour. I think he has flown every Mooney known to man and has also torn them all apart. So he told me every little thing possible that goes with Moonies and said he would be a great help. And so we got the next process is we got Jim took the, or not Jim, but Greg at Norfolk flew the plane down to where Jim was at, and Jim got in and did the whole pre-buy inspection as we discussed. Basically, almost did another annual inspection just for mine because my first time on an airplane, and went through and found he ended up finding a couple minor issues. And then part of the pre-buy agreement was that Greg was being the seller would be taking care of these issues. So nothing big. One was the landing gear door was too loose on the nose landing gear, so that got tightened up. So pre-buy inspection is done. We send the report up to the bank and everything, and they start asking about title and escrow. So when it comes to buying a plane, it's like buying a house. I didn't know any of this stuff. I was like, I don't know who to go through. I don't know who to call. And the bank said, hey, call with this company. They'll give you a discount. So I went with that company and got a discount. International title, aircraft title, something like that. Everyone knew each other. Everyone had good things to say about all of each other, going through the whole process for title and escrow. And for the most part, it was very seamless to me. This kid was very seamless to me. They just, the bank was the one requiring most of the documentation, obviously, because they're the ones doing the money. So I'd send like the pre-buy report, the logs, the pictures, and everything to the bank. The bank then would send the required information over to the title and escrow company, and also in contact with the seller. They did a title search, found one little, not even a real issue. It's just kind of a clerical error that they had to fix real fast. It took no time at all, just a documentation. And then they sent everything to us, all the paperwork between the bank and the title all came in within a couple days, a few days before we closed. And it was a mad rush to get it done at that point because they needed it. The bank needed their documentation overnighted with a check for their financing costs. So that's a thing when you buy a car, like all your financing costs and all that stuff gets rolled into the overall financing. With the aircraft, your financing cost is paid in cash, so I had to send a check to the bank. The escrow cost is also paid as cash. It's not rolled in, so the title and escrow fee, I split that. I worked out a deal with Greg, and we split that 50-50, but I had to send the title and escrow a check in regards to having documentation notarized and sent off. And then from there, and then the insurance, which we already got in the quote, no one like that. We were just waiting for the deal to close, and so it was closed, and I was gonna officially now go buy the plane. They required for their premiums, it's either quarterly or annually. They don't do monthly. It's not like a car insurance. That was kind of like that. I was kind of surprised, taken back from me. I wasn't expecting that, and then they came out to like, yep, quarterly, annually. And it goes from there. Say hi, Ian. And so we kind of said all that. A little unexpected cost, but again, I budgeted extra money for all this, and we were good to go. And then got everything put in, and then everything was closed and good to go. And then I set the flight arrangements to go get the plane, and then we own the plane. Achoo! It only has like 400 hours left on that engine anyway, which is why it's a cheap J.
You want some COVID?
I'm trying to get to